Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is going to be a comedy review. Comedy review, you say? That's not all that geeky, is it? Well, it is if we're talking about Warm Bodies, which is a comedy, first and foremost, but also a zombie movie. So, Warm Bodies is the story of a zombie called R, and the story is from his point of view, and he's a zombie that can sort of aimlessly wander around this airport. Now, before I get any further in this review, it's a difficult film to really quantify. It kind of touches base on a lot of different genres. So zombie films in the past have always sort of had a theme or sort of got a respective law that maybe the majority of them will abide to. So this one does deviate somewhat from that, which I'll come on to a little bit again later. But basically, the story is essentially from this zombie's point of view, who has like an inner monologue, and which is completely coherent and able to think. So he's able to think perfectly fine, like you or I, but basically he cannot sort of express it. He cannot really have that much control of his body. All he can do is sort of shamble along, kind of make very, very small sort of gestures. So what happens is that he ends up with a bunch of other zombies attacking a group of humans. And now in this film, basically they eat the humans. Now if you digest the brains, or if the zombie digests the brains, they'll incorporate the memories of the humans into their own. And it also prevents them from becoming a zombie, the victim. So they attack this bunch of humans, and he sees like this girl there who looks suspiciously like the girl from Twilight, Bella from Twilight. I forget the actress's name, but anyway, and he kind of has this has this kind of a flash of human sort of like attraction to her, and basically that starts off. He eats the girl's boyfriend's brains. That also gives him a flash of memories about her as well, and essentially that starts him kind of having a little bit on the path of becoming a little bit more human, and being able to express himself a little bit more, and kind of being able to sort of overcome his sort of zombie tendencies, if you like. And what happens is he sort of initially goes to attack her, but then he kind of stops himself and ends up sort of like protecting her from the rest of the zombie pack. And by doing so, he sort of smears his blood on her and kind of like brings her along to where he lives, which is in an aeroplane, like a parked aeroplane. Now, for the first thing, I'll kind of really deviate from the story here. The zombies are probably far more intelligent than the majority of zombies, although they don't often. There's a bit of inconsistency about how they work. I'll be quite honest. So initially, you see all the zombies kind of shuffling around, just not really doing anything. But even before R meets this girl, he's collecting all this stuff, and he plays records and things. So he obviously has some cognitive abilities. But no one else seems to. So I mean, that's a bit of a plot hole for me. But you kind of have to sort of sweep some of this stuff under the carpet in some of these films. But we'll come on to a little bit more about that as well. But the more time he spends with her, she's obviously scared of him first of all, but he slowly becomes a bit more humanised with her, and actually starts to heal a little bit, and he becomes a little less kind of like freakish looking, sort of slowly throughout the film. And on her side, she sort of realises he's not actually going to hurt her, and almost they sort of become friendly. And the story is really, the central story is their sort of progression from enemies to a love interest. But the actual, I'd say the romantic side of it doesn't actually come into it until sort of fairly late on in the film, which is probably good for any necrophilia issues that are potentially going to be going on here. So obviously this film can be very, very sort of tied to the sort of Twilight franchise, because it's kind of a supernatural love story. But I would suggest that it's far less sappy than the Twilight films. First of all, now if you're a bloke and you get taken to the film, and you think it's going to be Twilight, like a Twilight film, don't worry, it's not like that at all. It has some genuinely funny moments in it. R's got this other zombie friend who's probably the second most sort of cognitive at the zombie, played by Rob Corddry, and he starts to sort of because Ari's kind of turning a bit more human, he actually sort of influences other zombies to sort of become more human as well. And Rob Corddry's character being the sort of the second one to really sort of develop the most amount of cognitive abilities, and he has some quite funny lines that actually come from a zombie's mouth. They're actually laugh out loud hilarious, I think. So that's the main base of the story. Now, you've actually got other parties involved as well. So you have the rest of the humans that are sort of obviously holed up in a sort of protected city led by her father, John Malkovich. And they're essentially their sort of mandate is to shoot zombies on sight. Now, obviously, she becomes to realise that it's not quite as black and white as just killing zombies, and are in particular. And then she finds out later in the film, the rest of them as well, that they are becoming more intelligent, and they maybe can be assimilated back into society. And on the other hand, you've also got, on the zombie side, you have what's called the Bonies, which are the sort of the older zombies, or the ones who've kind of given up any type of hope of humanity, and have become essentially skeletal. Now, one of the criticisms of this film has got is that the Bonies are kind of CGI creations and aren't all that fantastic. Now, I actually think they were designed specifically like that, because I think this film is going after the romantic Valentine's crowd, and I think they don't want to make these guys too repulsive and scary, because, you know, people who are kind of interested in this, a romantic film, and not really into horror films, may be put off by images that are too horrific. So I think they're actually designed to look fairly cartoony, to be quite honest with you. I mean, they're kind of scary looking, but then they're not. They're not like that, basically. And so that's my opinion of it anyway. That's what I think they've done it. So this film really is because it's kind of a jack of all trades and master of none. So if you're really into your zombie films, and you're a massive, like, Night of the Living Dead fan or whatever, and that's your main love of films, there are going to be some things that are going to annoy you in this film. The way they sort of the changes that they've made. I mean, one thing that I remember thought was going too far. You've got zombies driving cars and things like that. So that may bug you. On the other hand, if you're very much into your traditional sort of romantic films, it's probably unlikely, given that you're obviously watching a Geek Legion of Doom video. But there you go. But if you're interested in your traditional romantic films, and maybe this one might be a little bit too on the sort of horrific side for you. So, but overall, I think it's a good sort of like central tone, and I think most people will enjoy it. There's some parallels to Romeo and Juliet there. I mean, she's called Julie, he's called R, and there's a scene with her in a balcony which is very, very Romeo and Juliet, taken pretty much straight from it. But I quite like that. I quite like the inclusion. I thought it was quite clever. And arguably, obviously, with the sort of two sides, obviously the sort of the extreme zombies and obviously the human resistance, you kind of have that sort of two sides of the coin as well. So there's quite a lot to go there, and it also makes some. It's not really explored all that much, but they make some interesting social commentary about how humans are sort of becoming less personal and sort of communicating with each other, and all sort of heads down looking at your Facebook and all that things like that, and your sort of social networking, and how that's kind of zombifying us a little bit. Doesn't delve too much into that, but it's just a little touch of it. But one I thought was quite interesting. Fairly intelligent for a sort of a film like this, to be quite honest with you. But it doesn't really bang it over your head too badly. I thought Nicholas Hoult was great SR. He came across as kind of creepy looking, but still attractive for people out there. I thought the chemistry was very, very good. I thought maybe John Malkovich's character was probably a little bit too one note. Other people reviews that I've seen said that the female character Julie is a bit of a bitch towards her father. I didn't really think that, to be honest with you. I didn't think she was. I was expecting her to be like that, but I didn't think she was too bad, to be quite honest with you. With her, so I would ignore that criticism, to be quite honest. If anything, I would say John Malkovich is pretty much just comes across as just a sort of single-minded military dad, which you kind of see as a fairly sort of standard trope. But you know, I enjoyed it. You know, if I can't really think of a better couples film to see that you'll kind of get, you know, you'll both get a sort of fun from watching. So I recommend this film. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think? And let me leave me a comment below. I look forward to seeing you next time. See you later.